GP, are you there?
Mr. Paulson.
I am. What's going on?
What's up, Jeeps?
How are you? So, can I say I agree with you 99% of the time on the idea of 7 games not being enough, and I really do feel terrible for Dwayne Haskins.
It's not fair.
But I have 2 things. It's not fair, but I've kind of 2 things that work against this for me that makes this really difficult. I want to bounce off you. Number 1 is there's not a football person in that building that wanted to draft him at 15. So we're working back from the conclusion that,
it's true.
Well, you took him where you took him. You have to give him a chance because he's a top 15 pick. But when the guys that watch the film and make the pick and the coaches watch the film, they go, don't take him at 15.
True.
Dan Snyder, who knows as much about football or me or you, chose him at 15.
No. We know
so he was the wrong guy.
We know way more about football than Dan Snyder.
Right. It
we have to
complicates
give ourselves credit.
It complicates it.
But my point is to just give him the benefit of the doubt because of where he was drafted. He shouldn't have been drafted there, and everyone in the building said as much.
True, but you can't get by that. I mean, Snyder still owns the team.
But I understand, but my point is that's why they probably will give him next year. But I just think to work back from the conclusion that they have to, I disagree with that. I mean, if this was a good process that you arrived at this pick where everyone was in sync and said, yeah, this is the guy we should take in the first round.
Here, I would say this. I hear what you're saying, and what you're saying is accurate. We have the same people telling us the same things, right? At the time.
Right.
So I know that's true. I'd say if he was a second-round pick, it's still not fair to give him 7 games and then chuck him, overboard. Personally.
Okay, and that gets me kind of my next point, which was, you brought up a bunch of guys who struggled in their first year, and I've always said this. I think if you make a huge declaration on a guy after 1 year, you have no idea ultimately what they're capable of becoming.
Correct.
However, here's what I would say is he's got to show something in these last 7 games. He has shown zippy. Every rookie quarterback ever in the history of the world who has capabilities of being anything. Troy Aikman when he stunk. Terry Bradshaw when he stunk. You saw big plays. You saw throws. You saw him get through progressions. He has to show that in these last 7 games. If 7 games from now he has not shown any of that, then I don't think we just continue to act like, well, he was taken at 15 and he threw 50 touchdowns at Ohio State. My point is, if he shows, let's move. He has to show something.
Here's what he has, and it's undisputable.
He certainly can't get worse.
Here's what he has, and it's undisputable, and you may not have seen a lot of it yet, but everyone agrees. He's got the arm. Right? We know that. He's got the arm strength. He could throw the out patterns. And you've actually seen 1 or 2 of them. You've actually seen, if we were fair, a little bit of elusiveness that we didn't give him credit for coming into the draft. Right? He's a little bit more elusive. I've actually seen him roll out and then not complete the pass because he's not accurate.
He's not Tom Brady.
He's not accurate, and he's not consistently accurate. And that may doom him, but I've seen him.
He's way more than I thought he was going to be. And dating back to the preseason, that's been kind of my biggest either revelation or excitement is play extension and some of those things.
Yes, so those are things he's shown,
the arm
Grant.
strength, but the arm strength, right? We're saying that's what he hangs his hat on. That's the best tool.
It's one thing.
Most people will tell you is the least important thing for a quarterback.
Don't disagree. I don't disagree. But it's an asset.
Got 0.
But it's an asset. To say he has nothing, it's not fair. To say he hasn't shown believe me, I think he'll probably bust. If you put a gun to my head, I said he'd probably bust the way everything's playing out. Yeah. But I don't think it's fair.
My point is, if you have Joe Burrow staring you in the face and you think you've got a bust, I don't to say that it should be off the table.
I think it should be off the table.
Do I think they should do it? No. But should they have a rule where no matter what happens, where we pick, no matter who's available, we can't do it because Dan made us draft Dwayne Haskins last year? That's tough for me.
But Grant, here's the question:
other than arm strength, what would you guys say I
haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything.
I just told you a little bit more elusiveness in the pocket, a little bit more of that. Now he needs to set his protections.
And here's the reason why you didn't see that in college. He didn't have to run in college.
Right.
Nobody's threatening him.
But let me just say this:
he's a better athlete than people gave him credit for.
Grant, you're saying if we've decided he can't do this, and we've got Joe Burrow, who's deciding that? Because it's not going to be Haskins or it's not going to be Allen and Snyder who's deciding that. They're going to be behind him. So, and you don't know who the next guy is.
Yeah, I mean, for all we know.
So it doesn't matter who's making the football decisions in the office right now because chances are they're going to be gone.
Snyder and Allen could walk in tomorrow, once the season is done and say, we are not drafting a quarterback. Haskins is our guy. I don't care what you guys see when you grade out Tua, Burrow, whoever else it is. Haskins, we're sticking with him through the next season at least. And it might just be off the table.
And let me just say this too, Grant. I think the worst thing that could have ever happened to this kid is what's actually happened so far. Is Case went out there and laid an egg, Jay got fired, and they forced him into the fire when he wasn't ready. And I don't care where he was drafted. Everybody's got a different curve. Everyone's different. I think he's been forced into the fire too early, and so I think it's unfair. And so that's part of my whole deal here, too.
But that's part of the business.
It's part of the business, but I actually agreed with the redshirting year. Let him learn. Let him get the reps. Let him study the playbook. Let him work on his footwork.
What did he say after he got drafted? The league screwed up or whatever he did, messed up, whatever he tweeted.
Yeah.
You saw it you saw the body language. Or he felt like he was ready.
Well, right,
but he clearly isn't.
But other people knew that saw him. I don't think they're wrong. I don't think Jay was wrong. I don't think
Jay was wrong either.
These guys see him. I'm not suggesting he's ready. I don't think he is. I think the worst thing that could have happened to him is actually playing right now.
But here's my point. The guys who don't think he's ready, it doesn't matter what they think because the guys who drafted him think he can get there.
Those guys don't have power.
I agree with you. But there's an undercurrent of people, and I think Grant might be one of them, that is suggesting that if he does bomb out here in the next 5 or 6 games, that we're ready to scrap him. And I just don't think it's fair to the kid, and I think he deserves at least a second year because players do bounce back. There weren't a ton of people. Listen, there were a ton of guys that thought Troy Aikman sucked and Steve Walsh should have been the quarterback.
Well, this is what I'll say. And Grant, I don't know if you agree with this, but whatever they do in the offseason, I don't think it's Keenum. They better get a quality backup. Because if Dwayne Haskins,
I agree with that. Yeah.
If he's not ready for week 1, if he doesn't have a good summer and a good camp, and he's not ready clearly, then they got to have Plan B, and it can't be Colt McCoy.
No. Well, that's not
if you guys would pull the audio, no one should do this. But I'm just saying, if you go back, I've said for years what EB is saying, which is you cannot evaluate a guy in 1 year. Not to mention, it's a terrible situation. I think he's essentially been doomed from the beginning.
I agree.
But my opinion is based on a lot of people, some still in that building, who say this is not it.
Yeah.
This will not work. This guy is not the guy.